This is Ducks Hockey on Fire with Coach P and Henry, your home for Anaheim Ducks fan talk.
Well, you win some and you lose some. Henry, after a couple nights like that, it takes a lot of energy out of you. What did you think?
Yep, that's right. Welcome back, Ducks fans. Good to be back after a little 2-day break here, and big win in Chicago. And then, unfortunate, following it up last night with a great effort in St. Louis. And, man, what a brutal way to end a great game. I thought we were heading to OT. Best case scenario, worst case scenario.
We all thought we were going to OT.
Yeah, picking up 3 out of 4 points on the road, the worst case. But, hey, that's hockey. Happens.
Today is March 11th, 2017, and we're going to talk a little bit about Chicago Blackhawks, and we're going to talk a little bit about the St. Louis Blues. But first, we're going to jump into some NHL games from last night. Any games you saw last night, Henry, that kind of piqued your interest?
Well, what a great game between the future of the NHL, Connor McDavid, and Sidney Crosby, back and forth all night. And McDavid, of course, with about 7 minutes to go in the third, buries a power play goal, ties it up, and then goes into a thrilling shootout. And it's good the Oilers didn't get the second point there for us, as we stay a point above them into second place. But that was a great game. Another great game was Minnesota against Florida. The score looks a little inflated because they had 2 empty netters there, but that was another great game.
So you're right.
Yep. What about you?
The Penguins take down the Oilers 3-2 in a shootout, and then the Red Wings take down the Blackhawks 4-2, which is interesting in the whole grand scheme of things. Blue Jackets take care of business against the Sabres in Columbus, and then the Wild go to Florida and take down the Panthers. Although Old Man River gets a goal.
Yeah.
Jaromir Jagr keeps finding the score sheet, and in the loss, he ends up on the score sheet again.
It's just a classic Jagr goal too. I mean, he's coming behind the net. It's an innocent-looking play, and he's a beefcake. I mean, he's strong, and he just whips it along the ice, a little wraparound on the wrist, and Kemper didn't even know what was going on before it was in the back of the net.
A beefcake. His butt is like a planet, and that's why he protects the puck so well. Is because when somebody tries to get the puck away from him, he just turns, and it feels like you're going around the moon or something.
That's a good description of it.
You like that, huh?
Yeah.
Today on tap in the NHL, the Kings are at home against the Capitals, who we will see on Sunday night. Very exciting for us. We get a little sneak peek at the Capitals, and they've been playing some unbelievable hockey. They are 44-15-7. The Flyers travel to Boston at the TD Bank Gardens this morning. In fact, it's on the NHL Network, so anybody that's ready to go here and to watch some games today, it's coming up here pretty quick. The Preds travel to the Sharks this afternoon, 1 p.m. The Senators play the Avalanche in Denver, 4 p.m. this afternoon. This is all Pacific Standard Time I'm giving you guys. The Flames travel to Winnipeg, 4 p.m. At Blue Jackets at the Sabres, so a little home and home there, 4 p.m. this afternoon. Panthers travel to the Lightning for an interstate battle there in Florida, 4 p.m. The Leafs travel to play the Hurricanes. That's 4 o'clock this afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. The Devils travel to Phoenix to play the Coyotes, 5 p.m. this afternoon. And then the Islanders versus the Blues. So the Blues are got to jump right back at it, and they got a big opponent in the Islanders as the Blues keep trying to find points. And then again, the Penguins travel to Vancouver, 7 p.m. tonight here, Pacific Standard Time.
I'm excited for the Kings-Caps game. That's a huge game that's everybody around the league's going to be looking at, and boy, Sunday's going to be a fun time in the Honda Center. I could tell you that.
Well, I'm keeping my eyes on a couple of games. I think think just naturally I gravitate to seeing any of the teams and how they do that have been part of the last couple of years, first and second draft picks. So I keep my eye on the Sabres. I keep my eye on the Leafs. I keep my eye on Winnipeg. I keep my eye on the Oilers. So that's, I'm intent to watch those players that have been picked in the battle between McDavid and Eichel and the battle between Matthews and Laine.
Me too. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the game in Chicago the other night. It was a great road game. It's what you need to do this time of year in a tight standings race and in a tight league. And I don't know what to you looked good from the Ducks. What didn't?
Well, it was probably the best defensive road game that I've seen the Ducks play all year. They were very good at getting pucks deep when they needed to. They were tight in their defensive zone. They blocked shots. Their giveaways were less than they had been in the past. So I saw a lot of really, really good things there. And then we got to mention the goaltending play of Jonathan Bernier. And he was, as much as maybe I was being hard on him earlier in the week, he played a great game. And in my opinion, I think he should have played again last night, but they made a decision to go with John Gibson. But I thought that after a game like that in Chicago, he deserved the opportunity to go again.
I completely agree. I mean, this guy's only played 10 games this year, started 10 games, and for a guy that's that fresh, one would think you're willing to go back to back, even if you just made 43 saves and had a shutout. We talked about him the other night, and he made some questionable, plays against Nashville, and it was just kind of tough to see him let in a couple goals that you wouldn't really think about. But he comes back and has an absolute lights out performance against Chicago, and especially in the waning seconds there on Panarin and Taves. I mean, those are game saving saves, and he really proved it.
By the stats, Henry, the Blackhawks owned us. There was the first period, the shots were 19-2. Now, mind you, a lot of those shots were from the perimeter, and anything that got to the middle of the ice was swatted to the outside. So, I think that's not always such a telling sign, but definitely they were generating some pucks to the net, which is a smart tactic, from a team standpoint, and I'm sure that's what they say every game is we're going to go out and we're going to get some shots on net. The difficult part for us is that we were the recipient of that, and then we could only generate 2 shots from our perspective. But then we came back in the second and the third, and the shots were 12-12 and 12-12. So I felt like we bounced back. Maybe we had a little airplane legs or something, but I think anytime you go into the United Center in Chicago, you're going to face a team that knows that they got to come out with a strong performance. Otherwise, they will get booed in their own building, and the Blackhawks fans have never been afraid to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And for something that sticks out to me, for what it's worth, is every time the Ducks go into that building, I kind of feel a little bit of nervousness from the Chicago crowd. I think they truly, they realize that the Ducks are a dangerous opponent every single night, and I'd say the same when the Blackhawks come to the Honda Center. Everybody kind of gets a little on the edge of their seat, and they know it's going to be a battle of a game, and they showed us that on Thursday night, that's for sure.
Well, kind of the interesting stat here from my perspective in the game against Chicago is that Kessler, Silverberg, and Hampus Lindholm all logged 23-plus minutes in those games. So those 3 guys were on the ice in a lot of this. So it's kind of a telling stat with when you have success and who's been on the ice quite a bit and who's not been on the ice very much. So seeing those 3 guys on, it doesn't surprise me that we won.
And Corey Perry getting off the schneid. with a beautiful play, and that's his instinct. I mean, he just sort of changes the angle a little bit on the puck, and he ripped it home, and that was great to see, and great to see his celebration and sort of the jubilation. I mean, he's got to get it going here, and there's no secret about that.
Well, again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He has the ability to play 59 minutes and 50 seconds of a hockey game and not even be noticed, and then 10 seconds of the game, he can change the game, and that's just
completely.
That's who he is. Now, the goal itself, he picks up the puck coming down the left wall, and he steps across. He drives the defenseman back, and he gives himself a little bit of space. And he walks in across, and he gets Crawford to start moving across the crease. And as soon as Crawford starts moving, he zaps the puck back across the grain and just inside the post and over his pad. So a very savvy goal by Perry in that sense.
Well, it's a great shot, and it's staggering. I'm looking at the stats at the moment, and he is dead last in forwards on the Ducks, even behind Kasha in shooting percentage at 6.6%. That's half of his career average, and there's something to be said about he's been getting scoring chances, and he's still shooting the puck at the same rate, but he's not scoring. So that kind of raises your eyebrow and kind of worries you a little bit. But the goal that he scored the other night, that's what he's known for, and he's a sniper. And I think a lot of it has to do with confidence. Obviously, when you know that you can just look up and just bury one, I think that's a lot easier for him. And so I think the shooting percentage has a lot to do with his lackluster year, kind of knocking on one another. But, I love the play from him. And he carried it into last night against the Blues, and he played a solid game and almost had a couple more goals.
The Ducks then travel to the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, and I liked a lot of things. There's a couple things I didn't like, and then easily the first thing is, 24 seconds into the game, Tarasenko steps in and just sends, obviously he shoots the puck very hard, and he's very deceptive, and it came out from out behind a defenseman, but it looked like he just shot a floater. And 24 seconds into the game, Victor Tarasenko beats John Gibson, and over his right shoulder, and the Blues are up 1-0 early in the game.
I was telling you, I hadn't even sat down. I was grabbing a beer from the fridge, and I hear the friggin' goal horn going off, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" As to your point earlier, I was just kind of like, why is Gibson in the net? Come on, you got to keep him on the shelf till Sunday night. Why? There's no point in rushing him one more game. But you know what? He played great the rest of the way. But that shot was, just kind of one of those things that you shake off in the first shift of the game, and the Ducks came back, and the next goal, or the Ducks' reply, we all thought was waved off, but the first replay you saw, you immediately knew they had to challenge that play. Corey Perry gets cross-checked pretty viciously into the goaltender, Allen, and Allen's wiped out. And, Getzlaf, is this guy, he's unbelievable at passing the puck. We know that, but he just keeps proving it. And what a pass to Rackle, who made no mistake and put it upstairs where Mom hides the cookies.
He was coming off the bench, streaking down the right side, and a middle of a line change there, and Ryan Getzlaf zaps a pass to him so quick that Allen had no chance of getting to that puck.
And it sounded like Raquel's stick almost snapped in half. That puck had some serious juice on it, and what a goal, and great play by Carlisle to challenge that. And that was a huge momentum turner in the game. I think that got us back into it. And then, of course, we take the lead. A bit of a seesaw game there. Silverberg, though. Let's talk about his game-tying goal. What a goal there, huh?
Yeah,
on the power play.
I mean, a great play. He gets the puck back, and again, very similar to Corey Perry's goal from the other night, is that as soon as Allen starts making a move to his left, Silverberg just zaps it above his pad and just inside the post, back across the grain. So, it was in the back of the net so quick. It was kind of like, oh, it's in. Yeah. And I don't want to say I was surprised, but it just looked so nonchalant, and then they just went to the celebrating.
Yeah, and Silverberg, I mean, he's got that release, and he's almost pushing 20 goals now. He's got 19 on the year. He's got a career high in goals and points. He's got 40 points on the year, and he's one of those guys that he's about to get in a little groove here that would be absolutely massive for us. But let's give a little shout out to our fourth line last night. What a great play from end to end. A very calm breakout, and Fowler comes across the blue line, zips a puck to Jared Boll flying up the right side of the wing, and he dishes it to Wagner, gives it back, a little give and go, and heads up play by Jared Boll to just push it to the crease, and Wagner gets rewarded. I mean, what a play there.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier in the day. I was kind of, I don't want to say complaining, but I wasn't liking the makeup of the fourth line. I've always felt that Nate Thompson's kind of that guy to be the center on the fourth line, and when I see Shaw, Wagner, and Boll, and Wagner playing center, which he's done a good job the last couple of nights. I wasn't very happy about it, but then all of a sudden they go out and get some energy shifts and some puck possession shifts and some zone time, and and that's really basically the fourth line's job, is to go out after a power play, after a penalty kill, when the rest of the top three lines need a break. Those guys are called on to be able to go out and number one, no matter what, not get scored on. Eat up some minutes so the rest of the guys can get some rest. But when a fourth line goes out and scores a goal, then it's just an added bonus. That if that starts happening, then your team's doing some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's crucial. You need contributions up and down the lineup, and that's a big part of why the Ducks won the Cup in 2007 was their third and fourth line, how deep they were, and they could score from anywhere. The Blues come right back, and Ryan Reeves gets his own fourth line goal, and greasy garbage goal there in the crease, but that's sort of the way the pucks were going in the net there.
Well, I just want to kind of mention this here, is that we still have Despres and Nick Ritchie waiting in the wings here, to get back into the lineup. And I'm going to be really interested to see what that looks like. If Despres goes in, on the wing with Thompson and Perry, and then Kasha has to find a home into that fourth group.
Well, Despres will come back on the back end there, but
or Nick Ritchie. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Nick Ritchie. Yep.
Well, it's weird. Ritchie's got a little whiplash, huh? So that's something to keep an eye on.
And then on the back end, where does Despres, where does he fit?
Well, he, like we were saying in a couple episodes ago, I mean, he's a dynamic player when he's on. God, I just hope he gets back to somewhat healthy. If he could come back in the lineup, I don't think you mess with the top four right now. Lindholm and Manson are playing great together, and Fowler and Vatanen are playing solid. I think maybe you change him in for Montour or Holzer. I mean, Holzer is coming in once every 5 games, and he's playing a solid game. I mean that is so valuable to have on a team. Some guy that can just come in.
That'll be a battle, though, to try to make the lineup, and that's really kind of what you want here going down the stretch is having a healthy lineup, so guys are, when they're getting in the games and they're getting their opportunity, they're working so hard because they don't want to get out of the lineup. So it turns into this big competition.
Yep, and that's what we need this time of year, especially. So it should be interesting. So let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night. It's the celebration tomorrow night of the 10th anniversary.
10 years.
And the festivities, Ducks fans get there early. The ceremony starts at 4:30 p.m. The game starts at 6:30. And there will be a huge celebration with a little photo op. And yeah, it's crazy. It's been 10 years already.
And it's also the return of Antoine Vermette.
Huge. Finally, we get him back. I think he served probably five games more than he should have. So I don't know if you heard, but I guess when Vermette appealed, Gary Bettman had agreed to a 5-game suspension, and the National Hockey League Referees Association vehemently appealed, or reached out to Bettman, and so he said, "Okay, we'll put it back to 10." So that's a little greasy play there from the refs. I think the refs should stay to officiating.
Yes, I know, but so they put a little bit of pressure in, and of course Bettman doesn't want to get those guys upset and overturn a call like that, but. Listen, I can see from the referee side. I think the referees in the NHL are so good. They do such a in my mind, from refereeing across the spectrum of professional sports, and then you look at refereeing across the spectrum of the game of hockey, whether it's at the minor leagues or junior leagues or youth leagues. I'm not sure people realize that they're getting the best of the best there in the NHL when it comes to refereeing.
Yeah, it's terrific. I mean, you look at it a couple of years ago when the NFL had their problems with all these terrible calls. You don't get that in the NHL, and I mean, you occasionally get a bad penalty call, but there's nothing that's detrimental to your team. I think Gary Bettman, he's about as soft as a wet noodle when it came to that, that little pressure from the refs. But whatever, we're looking forward to having Vermette back on tomorrow night, and that's another competition spot in the lineup, and I think him on a line with Corey Perry, and now you can bump Nate Thompson down to the fourth line, and then I think if you have Vermette, Kosh, and Perry, that could be a pretty interesting line.
There you go. I think that's what I was driving at. I'm glad you picked it up.
Yeah.
So we got Ryan Getzlaf with a team leading 53 points right now, 12 goals and 41 assists, and if he keeps getting on the score sheet, I think he could easily break 65 and maybe hit the 70-point mark.
15 points in his last 12 games, or 14 points in the last 12 games. He's playing tremendous right now. And
that's what we need. That's the stat line that we need from him coming down the stretch.
Yeah, he needs to be 1.5, 2 points a game. He really does, and that's a lot to ask for a hockey player. That's not a lot to ask for Ryan Getzlaf, to be frank. I mean, he's a guy who's capable of doing that, night in and night out, and his plus minus, I think he needs to resurrect that a little bit more, but that's just going to happen down the stretch here, and the power play is looking good too. We've got 2 goals in our last 3 games on the power play, and I think things are starting to click a little bit. The breakout's a little smoother, and once the power play gets going and gets hot, we all know how dangerous our big 4 guys can be on the power play.
Well, one thing that I have noticed is that you mentioned the breakout. Well, the transition from defensive zone coverage to breakout has been really smooth, and just nice 10-foot passes from the D to the wing, or the puck pops out to the winger at the top of the circle while he's covering his defenseman, and it comes to one of the wingers, and then it's just over the other winger, and then they're up the ice attacking. So you're right, some good transitional play from the defensive zone that has led to some offensive zone time and offensive opportunities. So,
I guess matchups tomorrow night. I think.
I was just gonna mention, a few names here. for Washington, their first line is Backstrom centering Ovechkin and Oshie. That is a serious line of power. So the Ducks are going to have to keep an eye out. It'll be interesting to see who Randy Carlyle tries to match up, and then on the other side who Barry Trotz tries to match them against.
But you said TJ Oshie. I mean, he's having a heck of a season. This guy, he's coming into the summer here as an unrestricted free agent, and he's made himself a lot of money. He's playing really well this year, and yeah, that top line is ridiculous. I think people say it, but Nicholas Backstrom, in my mind, is the most underrated player in the NHL.
I was just going to say that. He has 67 points right now.
Yeah.
He has 67, Ovechkin 55, Oshie 44. That is a lot of points. But you're right, the telling stat is Backstrom because he's like the silent assassin.
Yeah.
He's not a personality maybe like Ovechkin, and he doesn't have the filthy shootout dangles like an Oshie, but that guy finds a score sheet and he scores big goals, and he is smart and he's elusive, and you're right, he is very underrated.
You kind of suspect him to have a personality like Brizgalov in the locker room or something, just some kind of super quirky guy who doesn't really get involved in much and just goes out and gets his stuff done.
I kind of imagine him kind of in the Larionov mold, where after the game he goes and puts on his bow tie and his reading spectacles, and he walks out of the locker room, and everybody goes, "That guy must be a statistician."
You can see him with a little bifocal or something.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me tell
Thanks
you,
for the questions, boys.
That guy gets it done.
Yeah, he's great. And the veteran Justin Williams, he's having another great year. I mean, this guy's close to 20 goals, and
19, 17, 36. He's having himself a good year.
Ageless wonder, another guy who's without him, the Kings wouldn't have 2 cups right now, and I think I confidently say that. He was huge in their Stanley Cup run.
And then you take a look on the back end: Brooks Orpik, Matty Niskanen, Taylor Chorney, Shattenkirk, John Carlson. I mean, that is a heck of a decor.
Yeah, and one other guy I think who deserves some credit, I think Dmitry Orlov. He's coming out in the NHL. He's breaking out a little bit, and he's a guy that's got a 29 rating. I think that probably
look at the
probably
points
goes
in the
with
back
playing
end.
on the
I mean,
Capitals,
maybe Orpik isn't having a great point producing year, but Niskanen has 35 points, Shattenkirk 45, John Carlson 32, Orlov 29. I mean, that's some serious points from the back end.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the move from Shattenkirk, I think, kind of solidified and gave them a rejuvenated version of Mike Green or something, when he was in his heyday. He's a similar kind of player.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I was actually thinking that the other day. That is very uncanny that there's a resemblance and a similarity there.
Yeah, they both play with their chest up. They get their head up, and they're very, very quick on their feet, and they have great footwork, and they great puck moving defensemen who can also put a howitzer in the top shelf. And
yeah, absolutely, both players have unbelievable shots.
It's going to be exciting tomorrow night. And
let's not forget Braden Holtby.
Another Vezina year he's having. Seriously, I mean, I think there's somewhat a grain of salt when you're on the best team in the NHL, and the goal differential is ridiculous, and but it doesn't take anything away from him. He's a great goaltender, and there are some nights where the Capitals don't even deserve to be on the ice, and Holtby comes out and pulls them out for them. So,
well, he's 34, 10, and 5 right now with 1.97 goals against and a .928 save percentage this time of year is staggering.
Yeah, and to do that consistently too is it's pretty special. So he's leading the league in goals against average with 1.97, and he's one of those guys that, you know, he's such a competitor in the crease. And it's been amazing to see him come up from Hershey and, you know, in like 6 years just become one of the best goalies in the league. And great hockey player, and it'll be tough. We need to get some traffic to the net tomorrow night. Need to get some
tomorrow
grit going.
night, the Washington Capitals travel to the Anaheim Ducks. Caps 44-15-7, the Ducks 35-23-10. 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night, following all the festivities for the 10-year anniversary of the Stanley Cup at the Honda Center. Henry, that's it for us today. And for myself, Coach P, and my co-host Henry, it's a great day for Ducks hockey.
Thanks, Ducks fans. Tune in tomorrow night. We'll catch you later.
That's it for this week's edition of Ducks Hockey on Fire. Join us next week as we talk about the latest in Anaheim Ducks hockey.